A student threat shuts down 3 East Side schools at 5. With snow buffeting much of the country, winter weather and its dangers are on the minds of a lot of people today. And when snow piles up, there is always the danger of avalanche. Well, we hope it never happens to you. Craig Rivera talked with 2 men who were buried alive and has some important information on how to survive a wall of snow.
Take these off, you're starting a fire. Cover your ears, clear to the rear, clear to the front. Ready to fire,
In Colorado, highway officials fire a howitzer into a potential slide area to cause a controlled avalanche. The reason? To prevent scenes like this.
The whole face is going. Oh my God.
With millions of adventurers seeking extreme thrills in America's backcountry, a growing number have been injured and killed by avalanches.
Jerry, come on, buddy, breathe. Come on, Jerry.
In Alaska, Carrie Brookman was killed and dozens were injured when an avalanche swept across the Seward Highway south of Anchorage. In Idaho, dramatic video shows a snowmobiler narrowly escaping tons of snow barreling toward him.
Man, that's a mountain of snow.
35-year-old Ken Huff cheated death when he was buried for 5 hours in an avalanche in Washington state.
Can you see where it broke away?
Yeah.
Just 3 days after his rescue, he returned to the scene to tell us his story of survival.
Just to think that you were buried in this much snow.
Well, give you a better perspective. I can make a little hole and you can stick your head in it, and that'll give you a really good idea what the feeling was like.
February 2nd, Ken was doing what he does on most winter Wednesdays, snowmobiling with his friend Bill Lewis. But this day was different. While resting in this ravine, Ken heard a thunderous roar.
I just started feeling this weight and this pounding, and the snow started packing down, and the light started to slowly go away. And I was just praying to God that it would stop. I just, please stop no more.
But it didn't stop. Buried in a remote area, Ken was miles from help. Bill Lewis managed to dig himself out.
And I just started going, and I just wanted out. I was pulling. And finally I got my shoulder out. And I just laid there. And I yelled for Ken. He didn't answer.
After a fruitless search, Bill set out on foot for help.
I just prayed over the situation. I told him, Ken, you're a good friend, and I'll take care of your family. And kind of cried a little bit, and then I started on my journey up out of here.
I mean, that's what I had to deal with.
Feeling as though he was buried in cement, Ken struggled to breathe.
You're under all of this compressed snow, obviously.
Snow.
You're not getting any fresh air. What did you do?
I was taking my fists, mostly my right one, and right in front I was just continually punching, or I'd use my fingertips and just start digging. I'd roll my hand around, and I'd pull my hand out. And I tried to lean my face as close as I could, and you could just feel the fresh air coming out of the hole.
Did you feel at any point that you might give up?
Several times. In fact, there was one time when I had dug as far as my arm could reach, and I noticed that there was still probably a couple feet of snow above me. And I was running out of air again. I started patting out a flat spot in front of me. And I was gonna tell my kids I love them.
You're gonna etch it in the snow? What were you going to write?
Just that I love him.
Ken told us he prayed that he would see his fiancée and 4 children again, vowing to change his life and spend more time with them.
I promised God a couple things that I would accomplish if he'd get me out of this and give me some air.
Trudging through 4 miles of fresh snow that had entombed his friend, Bill Lewis finally came upon other snowmobilers. After 5 hours buried alive, Ken's prayers were answered.
I screamed for help, and all of a sudden there was a reply. I heard another voice.
If you were buried by an avalanche, would you know what to do? To find out more about survival techniques and avalanche preparation, I went to Summit County, Colorado, avalanche capital of the United States. To get an idea of the helpless feeling of being trapped under a mountain of snow, 3 members of the Copper Mountain Ski Patrol buried me in an underground cave. Almost instantly, I understood the claustrophobic terror Ken had described.
Soon it'll be pitch black in here.
The tension built as I waited for help to arrive.
What you got, buddy?
Within minutes, Patty and her dog Sandy, veterans at recovering avalanche victims, found me.
That's a good boy.
I understood how relieved Ken must have felt, but Ken says he won't have to worry about being buried again.
So you're gonna get rid of the snowmobiles and we're gonna go camping.
We're going to get rid of the snowmobiles, do a lot of camping this summer.
Most avalanche victims are unprepared, don't have beacons or shovels, or even take a course to recognize just where an avalanche might occur.
Still ahead on Inside Edition.